Hello everyone. So today we are going to discuss a very interesting topic, which is SQL injection. A lot of you would definitely be wanting to learn about SQL injection. So today we are going to start with the basics of SQL injection and see how it works. But before we do that, I thought I will quickly show you my setup of how I run the vulnerable apps Docker image that I have created on docker.io and how you can use it, right? So for that, what I have done is I have basically created a bash alias which is called as run docker, and this simply runs sudo docker run with minus minus rm. If you didn't know about minus minus rm makes it temporary docker, which means that as soon as I stop the docker, the docker container will be gone. And then I am also sending MySQL pass with a password of my choice. This is optional. If you don't send this, then it will send a default password for the database, and if you don't want to work with the database directly, then it's okay, because the script will automatically take care of ensuring that all the applications are updated with the right password. And then I am running it in a interactive mode, and then I am giving the image name. So I can start the docker with run docker command, and as soon as I do that, I have to give my sudo password, and once I give my sudo password, I should have the docker image up and running. So as you can see, it is starting the docker database. It is telling me that docker MySQL has been started in docker, and now we are good to go. Once the docker is completely up and running, and so first it will start the MySQL database, and once the MySQL database has been started, it will start your Apache to serve the basic pages and then few other components. So it generally takes a few seconds before you can access everything. But once this has been done, we can do a sudo docker ps, and we should be able to see that it is running the docker container that we wanted it to run. Now once this docker is running, we can actually do exec minus it is also not required. We can give thirsty wip space a to see the IP address that is given to the docker container, which is 172.17.0.2. And as you would have seen in my previous all my previous videos, we have been using this 172.17.0.2. So let's go to our docker container in a web browser and see what we have. So today we are going to use Matilda application. Once we get into this, you will understand why I am using Matilda, but let's get into Matilda and get into SQL injection, the good things, right? So once you go there, you will see that first thing you get is the database server appears to be offline. Don't fret, don't get scared. This is because the database has not been set up. So if you see it says try to set up or reset the DB, just click on this link, and it will show no MySQL errors and automatically redirect you to the OS Matilda web page. Unlike your DVWA, here you don't have to worry about changing the severity or priority of the application, and by default it is set to security level 0, and also hints are enabled, which makes it a little more easier for you to work on this. So we will go to any of the MySQL things. Let's try to go to this user info. Okay, sorry, I don't want to go to this. I will go to WebGoat. So I can go to WebGoat. Now since I have not used it with minus minus host, you will see that it has changed to localhost. You just need to remove this localhost and give the IP address that you got previously, which is 172.17.0.2. And you can just click on register new user. I will say Amit AG, agree with terms of condition, sign up, don't save. Okay. Now I am going into WebGoat, but because this is very user friendly. Also, let me increase the font a little bit so that you are able to see this more clearly. Now, WebGoat is very learner friendly, and it's not like other tools where you have to struggle and get things done, right? So we'll go to injection flaws, SQL injection introduction. I have a very specific reason of using WebGoat for this, and you will see that very soon. But as you can see, WebGoat starts this lesson, and in this lesson, first it will start with the concept and what are the goals of this lesson. You can click on this right arrow here to go to the next lesson, and you can see that it is showing you a database and asking you to do a few things, and then it will also give you a playground to play on. So what basically it is saying is, look at the above table, and then you have to create a SQL query which is trying to retrieve the department of the employee Bob Franco. Now, since I am comfortable with SQL, so I can simply say select star from employees where first name equals Bob, and click on submit. I think it's capital, so let's make it capital. Okay. So as you can see, if you give the right answer for this, it will give you a tick mark saying that it is correct, and also a green text saying that you have succeeded. So this in turn will teach you the concepts before it goes into the actual injection. So you can run through these, and it will tell you what is a DML, what is SQL, how to use DMLs, how you can use various DMLs, DDLs, right? Data definition languages, data control languages, what is data control language, what is DML, what is DDL, and all those. Now it also will tell you what is a SQL injection, what is example of SQL injection. So if you look at this very carefully, basically the problem comes from something like this, right? So you have select star from users where name equals single quotes, and then you give the username and then single quotes. This username is the user input that you have got from a web page, which is directly used here, and there is no sanitization, no input validation done on this. And this is what basically causes issues with your SQL injection. Now it also gives you example of how the SQL statement would look like when you give a username here. So in general, for example, if I give Smith, then you can see that this SQL statement is perfectly valid SQL statement right now, where it says select star from users where name equals Smith, and everything is ending correctly. So this is perfectly valid SQL, and this text box is the only reason I am using WebGoat. We could have used any other application, but I wanted to show you how the SQL statements are abused in a SQL injection vulnerability. So to do this, what I am going to show you is how it causes SQL injection, right? So now this is the SQL injection. This is the SQL statement that the application is going to execute when you had something like where name equals Smith for this kind of thing. Now what happen if I give a single user code? As you can see here, now this becomes Smith Smith and single quotes, and then there is one extra single quotes, right? So I can simply say or 1 equals 1. As you can see, this becomes a perfectly valid SQL statement again, where it says where name equals Smith in single quotes or string 1 equals string 1. Okay. Now, but if you see the username, I have given the second string of 1, I have only given one single quotes, right, and not double quotes, just increasing the font a little bit for you to see this more clearly. In the end, I have not given the single quotes, which is more what makes this complete. But when this statement is executed, this where clause becomes name equals Smith or this is equal to this. This is always a true condition. This will never be a false. 1 is always equal to 1. There is no database which will evaluate this to false, which means that and if you know the truth table of OR, then you know that true or false is always true. So true and true is also true. As long as one of the conditions is true, the whole condition will evaluate as true. Now, since one of the conditions we have forced to be true, which basically means that this condition will always become true, and since this condition becomes true, this will always select some row from the database, whether there is any user with name Smith or not. It doesn't matter, right? Sorry. So by just adding this or 1 equals 1, we have caused the SQL statement to evaluate and return a result irrespective of the username that we have given here. In fact, I can go ahead and even remove the Smith, and this will still be a perfectly valid SQL statement and will always give me the first row from the database. Now, to take this further, if I don't want to give this as strings, I can also say 1 equals 1. Okay. But when I give this 1 equals 1, then you can see that where name equals nothing or 1 equals 1, but after that there is a single quote, and this is imbalance in the single quote, and hence the database will not be able to run this query because there is an imbalance in the single quotes. What can we do to avoid this? We can make the rest of the statement as comment, and in MySQL the comment is hyphen, right? And then we can also give a single hyphen here just to ensure that whatever is after there always gets a space after the hyphen. If this space is not there, then it will not be treated as a comment. So this is the most simplest form of SQL injection that you will ever see, and this is the concept of how my SQL injection works. There are various kind of SQL injections that we will talk about in coming videos, but I quickly wanted to show you how the SQL injection works, and in my opinion, this is the best way you can understand SQL injections, right? So now that we have done this, let's see SQL injections in action. Here you can see what are the consequences of it, what is the severity of it, and then how you can do it with other databases. Okay. Now this is for trying to see how the SQL injection works, right? So let's take the first example where we had a single quote. So here you can see that the command that they are using is select star from user data, first name equals John and last name equals something. right? So I am ending this last name equals query here, or 1 equals 1, and this should get me the data. Okay. Actually, let's use this. Okay. So when I do this, basically it's executing this statement, select start from user data where first name equals John and last name equals this, and 1 equals 1. Okay. Now so here you can play around with various other things. As you can see, these will probably not do this, because as you can see here, these are not valid SQL statements. So there is an imbalance of single quotes, and also this myth is outside the single quote. So definitely this is not going to work. This we don't have a single quote, so we are not ending this last name equals, so this also is not going to work. So the only option that you can use in this case is single quotes here and here. As I explained, if you look at the truth table of OR, then that is the only case where you can get the data. You can set the whole condition as true, even if one condition is true, and hence we are making this one single condition is true. So now this is for a numeric SQL injection. As I was explaining, if we run okay, so this is there are two cases, right? One is where single quotes 1 equals single quotes 1, and the other one is where you are directly using it as numeric and there is no single quotes involved. So in this case I can simply say or 1 equals 1. Okay. And again, as you can see, here the where clause becomes login count equals 1 and user ID equals 1 or 1 equals 1. Since this is always true, so the whole condition is always true, irrespective of how the others are evaluated, whether they are true or not, it doesn't matter. So this is how you can leverage numeric SQL injection. Now let's see this. As we can see here, it's again giving us one more example where last name equals some name and then auth 10 equals something, right? So now one of the things to remember is that if we are injecting here, so let me try to show you, right? So A and 1, let's say get department, no employee found, and that's okay. Now if I do if I do injection here, it's not showing me the query that it is executing. I think it will show the query now. Okay, it still doesn't show the query. So let me take text editor and paste it here. Okay, and I will try to explain you why it doesn't work the way we were expecting it to work. Okay, now this is our edit preferences, font and color. Let me make it 18 or 20. Okay. So this is our query string. Let's take this query string and see how it works. So when I am giving a name, basically it will put the name here, Now if I am just giving A, it becomes this. And if I have okay, now let's see what happens when I inject something to it. So if I inject single quotes or 1 equals 1, okay, then this is what I get, right? I still have this condition. So here it is still a AND condition, so probably it might still work. But let's assume that instead of AND, this was where. Then this where clause would not have satisfied even if I have injected my code here, right? So what you want to do is basically comment out the rest of the code, which will make this unusable, and this will not be used. So the query that will be executed is only up to this. Whereas if I didn't inject here and if I kept it as it is, then this is what it would have looked like without injection. If I just gave you A, sorry, and if I inject here, then my code will look like this, right? So I will give a here. Now with this, the benefit that I have is I don't even have to worry about commenting the rest of the code, because if I give my injection as A single quotes or 1 equals 1, then there was already a single quote from the earlier one, so this will become this and this. Sorry. Which means that I don't have to really worry about commenting out the rest of the code, because there is no code after it. So it also depends on where you are injecting the code when you are doing a SQL injection. I hope I have been able to clarify this thought process. If not, just drop a comment and I will try to clarify this further for you. Now let's go further. Okay. So let's give Smith and 3SL 99A. So when we give this, then we are getting the exact output that we are supposed to get from the SQL output, right? So let's try to do our magic again, or 1 equals 1. And you can see that again we are getting the same result, but here they are trying to say we are going to compromise the integrity of data by using the SQL query chaining. And just in case so they are also explaining what is SQL chaining, right? So as we know that SQL query is terminated by a semicolon. So if we terminate it here, and then we say select star from employees, and then do a get then do a get department. So you can see that here the first SQL query would have only returned one single row, which is my Smith and 3SL 99A, but I am able to chain my queries here, and I am able to run a second query here. So here they want us to change the salary, and since this is done like this, it's very easy to do that, right? So we can do update employees, set salary, set salary equals let's say 100, where first name equals Smith, and do I get department. Run this again. Update employees, set salary equals let's try to see if this is this is last name, sorry. So we have to give last name, and this should be a numeric value. Okay, it wanted us to give a very large value for us. So as you can see, the I don't have that query now, but you understood what I was doing, right? So we after this TAN number, we gave a semicolon, and then we could execute our own query, whatever we wanted, and which was a update query. Sorry. So this is how the query chaining works, and now this is compromising availability. So this is basically again very similar to what we have been doing, and I just need to do something like select star from access log and then comment out the rest of it. So you can see that just with a semicolon I have been able to execute another query. So I can do truncate table access log. And just in case you anyway get stuck, you can always click on show hints, and it will show you the hint for the specific use case that you are doing. So let's quickly see how to truncate a table in MySQL truncate table. This is correct. We can actually do a drop table just in case it is looking for a drop table. Okay, it was looking for a drop table. So that's all for today. Next time we will get into more details of what are the various kind of SQL injections and how can you do those, right? So thank you for watching.